Hi, this is Jay from Basement Gamer. Welcome to part 2 of The Sound of Gaming. This time we're going to take a look at the NES, the Nintendo Entertainment System. It launched 2 short years after the video game crash of 1983 in October of 1985 in North America, and September of 1986 in Europe. But it started life in July of 1983 in Japan as the Famicom, or Family Computer. The music you're hearing in the background is a sample of what I consider some of the best music to be on the NES, and it comes from Blaster Master. When it comes to this system, whatever you decided to call it, it represented a generational leap in video gaming hardware, and the games that would come with it would be much more complex than anything you'd see on the Atari 2600, at least they would be given time. Some of the launch games were actually games that had already been ported to the Atari 2600, like Donkey Kong. Let's take a look at it on the NES and the Atari. We'll see the Atari first. The 2600 version of Donkey Kong sees Mario, although at this point he's known as Jumpman, climbing ladders, jumping over barrels, and racing over construction beams to get to the top of each stage, where Pauline is waiting for him along with Donkey Kong. As far as ports go, this one's pretty good, but as you'll see when we look at the NES version, the effect of the improved hardware will be readily apparent. I love the intro music track to Donkey Kong on the NES. It's a very nice touch. Also, the sound effects and background music from the arcade machine are recreated pretty faithfully here. Take a listen. The NES was home to several fantastic arcade ports. Let's take a look at just a couple of them before moving on to some more complicated titles, at least as far as the background and sound effects are concerned. First up, we have Galaga. Let's take a quick look at Pac-Man on the NES. From Mario and Zelda to Kirby and even Blaster Master, the NES is home to a lot of classic tunes that will be remixed and reused throughout gaming history, at least in games made by Nintendo. In no particular order, here are some of my favorites. The NES supports 5 sound channels, one of which is a noise generator, which would be used for percussion. I didn't select them on purpose this way, but it sounds like a lot of the games that I've picked have a really awesome sort of 8-bit bass line going on. None perhaps as awesome as the bass line in Super Mario Bros. 2, which is coming right up. Composers would make the most of this 8-bit system sound chip to create music tracks that would inspire us to go on epic adventures in games like The Legend of Zelda and Final Fantasy. It's amazing to me that an 8-bit system that had a 1.79 MHz Motorola processor chip and a sound chip for PSG audio was able to produce such memorable games and soundtracks as the NES was able to in its own time. From awesome arcade conversions to platformers like Mario, all the way to role-playing games like Final Fantasy and sort of action RPG games like The Legend of Zelda, the NES certainly had a plethora of hits on its hand. And a lot of that had to do with clever game designers and composers who were able to work within and sometimes even exceed the limits that were placed upon them by the hardware. And here we are at Mega Man 2. This game has some brutal gameplay and some awesome music, which make it fun to keep coming back to, so I thought it would be a good place to end this segment of The Sound of Gaming. Next time we'll take a look at the Master System and the Genesis, and we'll see Sega's 8 and 16-bit consoles respectively. Until then, this has been Jay from Basement Gamer. Game on!